mean, it was just really strange. In the middle of the pro board hearing, it was actually clear to me that they had already made their decision when the guy said to me that I needed to give him something to work with. I knew that you blacked out or something so that we could prescribe, so we could get you the help that you need in the classes. So he was already planning on sending me to classes. They praised me for my institutional programming. I've taken over 200 risk-relevant classes. They thanked me for my military service and then gave me 10 years.
His hearing didn't make any sense. They wanted a quid pro quo from him: tell the board he killed Claire Schneider in a blackout, then we will give you the right classes to take so you can be on your way to parole in a few years. In 1999, Kevin Tollier had an extensive resume. He was president of High School Student Council. He held an unpaid board position with United Way in Communications. He was on the National Dean's List Honor Society, Phi Kappa Theta, and part of the campus Republican Human Dignity Task Force and Minority Rights Council. His former wife Natasha and his long-term girlfriend before that, Barb King, both spoke on his behalf and made that clear to the Ohio Parole Board recently. So why is Kevin Tollier in prison for murdering his then-girlfriend Claire Schneider in 2001? Because in 2002, the public defender in the case, James Foley, never put evidence before the court that Paxil is distinctly tied to increased rates of suicide. This is definitely true in young adults. Claire Schneider was in that age bracket at the time of her death. Claire was experiencing emotional turmoil and did not realize that there was a bullet left in the chamber when she demonstrably argued with Kevin Tollier and held the gun to her head and said, "What do you want me to do, kill myself?" Neighbors in the apartment complex noted that they contemporaneously recall hearing a male voice yelling, "No, don't." The jury deliberated nearly an entire week before returning a verdict. The coroner testified that it was inconclusive as to homicide or suicide. Kevin demanded that a gunshot residue test be done on Claire's hands. For reasons that remain unclear to this date, the state refused this reasonable request even though the results could have definitively assisted the jury in its deliberations. The family needs money to retain noted private investigator Martin Yant to follow up on issues of irregularities in the trial that were being noted in a prior abandoned investigation when Kevin's mother died in 2005. Kevin has steadfastly maintained his innocence. He has also rejected an opportunity from the parole board to elocute to shooting Claire in a blackout rage so that he could get out of prison earlier. Says Kevin, "This is not about false pride. I would love to be out of prison soon. The conditions here are deplorable. But I cannot tell a lie to get out of here. That would also not do justice for Claire because then her real killer, Paxil, goes without due punishment." Meanwhile, GlaxoSmithKline agreed to a record settlement in 2012. In the largest pharmaceutical settlement in the nation's history, Glaxo in 2012 agreed to plead guilty and pay $3 billion to resolve criminal and civil liability for promoting Paxil and other prescription drugs for unapproved uses. They also failed to report safety data about the medication. 4 Glaxo employees tipped off the government about a range of improper practices between the late 1990s and mid-2000s. Meanwhile, in April 20, 2017, an Illinois federal jury found GSK liable for Stuart Dolan's death and ordered the pharmaceutical company to pay $3 million to Wendy Dolan. In the trial, Dolan's lawyers claimed the company knew about the increased suicide risks in adult Paxil patients before the drug went on the market, and it hid the dangerous effect from the FDA and prescribing physicians. Meanwhile, Paxil has been found as a causal to a murder rampage in which the victims' families were awarded $6.4 million. Kevin Tollier did not kill Claire Schneider. Paxil killed Claire Schneider. Without your help, he will never get the chance to prove this, and an innocent man will continue to be wrongly held in prison.